early morning, let us again explore Gaurab Dorje's spaciousness of Vajrasattva, and then meditate. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and not so much. Yes, we can. We can chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them to your life, there is no need to be bashful. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Before we start, let's just get something out of the way real quick. Every day I broadcast 4 meditation classes without any advertisements, health permitting. If you find value in these classes and techniques and my enthusiasm to answer your questions and group practice, then please allow me to remind you that with your assistance, this channel could help support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each with a resident teacher and their apprentice. This is important because in the Tibetan tradition, monasteries do not support people. In fact, people have to pay to stay in monasteries, and if they can't afford, they wind up homeless. So that's a harsh tradition. But that's life in the big city, and so I'm really excited that the life be easier for the next generation. If that sounds good to you and you want to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, you could use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code, or if you're old school, just click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. But first, I get to blow my nose. O virtuous one, I will show you the truth of your being. You are and always have been like Vajrasattva, the infinite consciousness, living presence, and creative power of the divine. How are we like that? The vast spaciousness of being always good, the way of liberation for all beings. Beyond appearance and disappearance, and beyond the grasp of the intellect, so that we each have an innate empowerment that defies analytical reasoning. Let's continue. Love being or essence attainment is already complete, and there is no need to strive at practicing great compassion. We don't have to contrive. We already are wired for empathy. All we have to do is get out of our own way and flow from a place of centered spontaneity. Perhaps that is why we meditate. Love being the supreme good, there is no need either to extol the many splendid qualities of compassion. Why is that a common practice? Because most teachers teach from a place of being rigid, fearful, and controlling, which undermines love, as opposed to being teaching from a place of being rigid and laid back, which makes love effortless. And this is in philosophy. Fear pulls us into our underbrain. Love is several centimeters away. So the ancients were correct. Fear really is the enemy of love. Let's continue. Phenomena are not other than the true condition. Without input on our part, they appear and disappear. So this is important. Their true condition is not the absence of phenomena. Stuff are going to appear. Stuff are going to disappear by themselves without input on our part. That's hugely important. We will experience the external and the internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque. It's not our job to control that. It's our job to surrender to that. It is as if we were at the theater. You and I are not playwrights, nor directors, nor producers, nor thespians upon the stage. We're but members of the audience, sitting back and enjoying the show. That is the key to the enlightened lifestyle. Naturally arising wisdom need not be actively sought. Self-liberating by nature, it reveals the way. So self-liberating wisdom of letting go is already wired into our central nervous system. Spoiler alert, it's not in our simian brain or mammalian brain. It's in the oldest part of our central nervous system. It is in our, not even our brain proper, it's actually in our spinal cord. Let's explore this for a moment. We will touch on this several times, so don't worry if this is overwhelming. Every time we breathe in, we access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within our thoracic spinal cord. It's wired for us to notice, not concentrate actively, but notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced in both our lumbar spinal cord and either our cervical spinal cord or our brainstem, depending upon which source you're looking at. I think it's pretty much an overlapping Venn diagram, or perhaps a war of synonyms. Let's continue. So our autonomic nervous system is wired to help us, to cause us to both physically relax and mentally release. So observation and release are already wired into our breath cycle. We don't have to force them. All we need to do is align our intention of our great big gushy 3-pound supercomputer between our ears, align our intention with the factory installed wiring of our autonomic nervous system. Let's continue. Earth, air, fire, and water are the indwelling divine. Despite our mistaken notion, liberation dawns from within our own being and is not dependent on others. We do not need to become slaves of our teacher. Our teacher, if they're a good person, could help us by their example or their words, but they are not the be-all, end-all. And the banality of our frame is the building blocks of enlightenment. They are not horrible things to be forsook. Supreme wisdom is difficult to realize except by way of wisdom itself. Dependence on others is merely notional, since bliss actually arises naturally from within. So I'm not going to lie to you. Karma mudra, tantric sex can be great fun. But if you don't have a partner, you can still be joyful. The mechanisms for bliss are in each of us. And yet the miraculous is not beyond our recognition. Due to intuitive insight into the natural state, our innate capacities and spiritual powers come to the full naturality from within our own inner depths. Real meditation is effortless letting go in the true condition. This true condition never appears to us as something which can be seen. So effortless letting go is the key to meditation. Striving to grasp it, we prevent the recognition of its true nature. Nor can the supreme secrecy of the primal continuum be revealed by hearing about it, nor can words reveal its nature even in the barest measure. Can you describe what a banana tastes like? Of course not. You can hand someone a ripe banana and tell them how to eat it. The suffering of sentient beings is only consciousness, intrinsically perfect energy in varying forms. Beyond movement and shaking, it abides equally in all. People talk of karma, in truth there is only consciousness beyond all our notions. So, although there is a conventional causality where if you kick a cop in the shins, they'll probably shoot you in the face. There is no supernatural component there. For those imprisoned in the ups and downs of thought and emotion, the personal continuum of awareness remains hidden. The mind of awakening gives rise to all appearances. That's huge. So, the mind of awakening is not going to put us in a great big white fluffy cloud and give us a harp. The mind of awakening is going to make us vulnerable to the present moment in the full spectrum of human experience, from the glorious to the grotesque. Being unborn, it is indestructible. This timeless space of pure being is beyond the reach of thought. A prefrontal cortex is an excellent employee, but a terrible boss. The deepest meditative tranquility does not think of itself as this or that. Those who describe themselves can never know themselves, so says the Tao Te Ching. There is no need to conceptualize or purify the mind of concepts, although wisdom may, as it comes to the fore, take the form of concepts. So, conceptualization is neither our friend nor our foe. It simply is. If you treat it as something inert, sometimes in the foreground, sometimes in the background, it's fine. If we treat it as our trusted, as our tool, it's not always going to serve us as well as we hope it could. Think of this. In the fictional series Star Trek, the original series, our friend Mr. Spock could be profoundly logical, but he also meditated. Meditation was a huge part of his life. And he also explored the arts, not just the sciences. So despite the thumbnail sketch, he was not just an emotionless entity. Let's continue. Some meditators strive to put the minds into a thought-free state, thinking this gives them access to something subtle. They isolate themselves in lonely places. Examined closely, this seems to be a form of conceptual meditation. It definitely is indulging their controlling tendencies, isn't it? If you've just joined me, well, fare thee well. Thinking in terms of causes and results, such seekers strive to transcend this world. They reject the bad and accept the good. Although non-dual wisdom already transcends dualities like bad and good. Clinging and indifference are concepts so to echo like is anything in between. Joy and sorrow will rise from the same source, so declares Vajrasattva, refuge of all. Whereas could aversion, attachment, and anger arise, except from the luminous energy of the mind. So in this case, energy just means mind is dynamic. It can be rambunctious, can't it? Luminous here means is a metaphor for non-graspability. Mind can perceive, yet be non-graspable. Mind can emote, yet be non-graspable. Mind can intend, reason, recall, and imagine, yet all the while being as non-graspable as the relaxation we experience during the very next exhalation. Objects of pleasure are also just this, formulations of the energy of the light of wisdom. Concepts are like space, but neither space nor concepts ever come into true existence. Nothing is graspable. Everything is worthy of letting go of. Therefore, and it's because it's safe to let go, we can go with the flow of the inherent noticing and release latent within each cycle of inhalation and exhalation. Abiding in spacious consciousness beyond desire and directed intent, one's condition widens to infinity. Desire is still there, but it's no longer our puppet master. It no longer controls our choices or utterances or deeds, although it's still quite often throwing a temper tantrum in the background. Concept-free equanimity is the ground of being, but like the moon reflected on water, it cannot be grasped. So just because something's a component in our mind doesn't mean we have to hold on to it with white-knuckle intensity. In fact, it works out better when we don't. If you've just joined me, welcome aboard. When you have questions, simply type them in great detail in the chat window, click the send button, and I will happily answer them. But of course, these are questions about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or how to apply them. Through the divine creative energy, the vibratory sounds of speech are manifested. The mantric sounds of undying part and all the many elaborations express the creative power of infinite consciousness, then figure forth a mind of light. How amazing that the enlightened realm is never found by seeking, and can never be perceived by the six senses. Those who seek it in this way are like blind ones grasping for the sky. A graduated spiritual path of purification is at odds with the effortlessness of the true condition. Realization does not come by following such a path. Now, of course, being an idiot, that's the path I was involved in for many years. I'm reminded of the words of Einstein, who is alleged to have quipped, that any educated idiot can make things more difficult, more complicated, and more violent, but that it takes a lot of courage and a little bit of genius to move in the opposite direction. That's explored not only in this text and texts like it, but also in the Tao Te Ching, the classic of the beneficial way. That is like searching for the end of space. The true condition of being what it is, revealed as it is, cannot be seen as a path to travel. That's right. One does not travel the path of merely stepping into one's underwear. One simply does it and is done with it. The state of effortless enlightenment is a source of all its manifestations are marvelous wonders. Past and present abide within the true condition. The eternal now of consciousness is the path for all. This is the suchness of the light of wisdom, the realization of enlightened beings both past and yet to come. So we are equating suchness, or emptiness, with wisdom's the wisdom of letting go, which is as non-graspable as light. This living presence is a universal way, the moon in its reflection on water or non-dual. The mind of awakening is not to be found by those engrossed in fabricated features and stages of the way. Focusing attention on present pleasures and the future consequences is a limiting way to follow any path, and it is something to avoid. Forgive me, I added the conjunction. Past, present, and future are one, not three. Only the present has endured throughout time, which is deliciously ironic. The nature of reality pervades the whole of creation, its wonderful qualities everywhere to be found. Everything that appears in all the worlds derives from karma, is rooted in concepts, and is phantasmal in nature. So although there is a causality, and although there are concepts, still everything is by tapping into relaxation latent within each in-breath, everything is inadvertently experienced as being phantasmal or phantom-like in nature. Even the situation of a universal emperor is merely a training ground for dealing with illusion. Those who meditate using the time-bound intellect will never be liberated within the time frame of their imagining. Intellect is excellent, but it is not the be-all, end-all, my friends. For those whose practice is rooted in present striving, everything said about emptiness fully applies. The essence is one unstructured, unborn, in the way of the yogi is like the path of a bird in the sky. You can see the bird, but not its path. How then can we suppose that phenomena actually exist? Inner and outer phenomena are both the one real condition, which is not an object to be grasped by the conceptual mind. Whatever thought we think as we breathe in, we are automatically wired to relax and physically relax, and therefore mentally release as we breathe out. If you fight that, nirvana will forever be an abstraction. The things of this world are mere names based on mistaken concepts, and so it is we fail to experience the quality of deep contemplation. The outer and inner spiritual commitments that we take up pertain to the constituents and senses of the body-mind, which has never been other than the true condition. There is therefore no benefit in talking about spiritual commitments. The great Karma Chakme Rinpoche taught, the essence of morality was non-violence. As we already explored at the beginning of this text, the empathy, compassion, and love that fuels this non-violence, that fuels this kindness of speech, conduct, and commerce is latent. It is built in. The essence of Tantra Samaya is simply relying upon teachers, example, instructions, and students, which we are doing right now by chanting this teaching of the late, great Gaurab Dorje. That is already latent within the heart of every mammal. We don't have to contrive it. It's an automatic process. All we need to do is get out of our own way. How do we do that? Through an effective meditation process, by noticing and relaxing in harmony with inhalation and exhalation, posture and breath. Appearances, symbols of the all-good, never change into something other than presence. So all-good here is a reference to an archetype of enlightenment known as Samantabhadra and Samantabhadri, sitting in a tantric union, which I'm going to illustrate here with a lovely piece of art, which of course I found upon the internet. Where is Kuntu Zangpo? Where is... form. Scroll down. Here it is. Okay. Appearances, symbols of the all-good, never change into something other than presence. Never being other than presence, appearance is all therefore wisdom. In the absence of grasping, nothing has a self-identity. Okay, let's do another edit. Let's verify the screen is still synchronized, and it appears to be. Never being other than presence, appearance is all therefore the basis of the wisdom of letting go. In the absence of grasping, nothing has a self-identity. We cannot walk into... Behold the power of impermanence. For one cannot walk into the same flowing stream twice, as that stream is not the same. It's in constant flux. Therefore, change makes labeling an act of folly. Absent rejecting, there is only the quality that transcends speech. All possible circumstances of all beings in them arise non-dually from the pristine continuum. Things come, things go. Everything arises and everything passes away. In the purity of divine presence, there are no such distinctions as male or female. In the domain of reality, there is no talk of getting somewhere by means of effort. And yet some say that by using the powers of sound, one can generate the bliss of a magical illusion. Beware of elitism. Elitism is a path of yang, not the path of yin, not the path of enlightenment. The true condition cannot be grasped conceptually. A matter appears in varied ways according to how one views it. All right. And now it's time for the Easter Bunny. At last, let us meditate. It's remarkably easy. With each inhalation, we practice the effortless mindfulness that watches the play of mind as silently and mentally we recite, noticing, perhaps in harmony with our pulse. With each exhalation, we practice the relaxation that relaxes into mind's non-graspable nature. As silently and mentally we recite, relaxing. So in harmony with our body, the natural metronome of our pulse, let us sit nice and tall and breathe from our diaphragm. If you feel I have earned it, please type in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead this evening's meditation. Until next we speak, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.